Learning self-regulation. When the emotions sweep over us, driving us to our knees or making us want to smash something, writing offers a ready de-escalation. By writing about the intensity of our emotions, even if we channel it through a fictional character in our current work, we regain a sense of control. Writing helps us regulate our emotions and move toward calm. Using catharsis. Catharsis in ancient Greek, means cleansing or purification, especially of negative emotions. It's been used as a function of the arts at least since the ancient Greeks. One of my students couldn't write about his own experiences in Iraq, but he was fascinated by poems and stories from World War I. Witnessing what soldiers underwent on the Western Front allowed him to safely process the experience of war from a distance and purge some of his more negative feelings. Managing triggers. Triggers, in the mental health world, are objects or events that can bring on or worsen negative feelings. Writing allows us to safely work through our triggers. Grab your journal or open your short story and capture your emotions on the page before they spiral out of control. When I suddenly remember a beloved object lost in the wildfire, I will sit and write about that object and why it has meaning for me. Often, the object's value is tied to someone I love, and writing about that person, even when they're gone, settles me. Finding purpose. One of the best ways to build resilience and create the meaningful life that trauma threatens to take from us is to have a purpose that extends beyond our day-to-day. When we commit to completing a writing project, however small or large, we find direction and momentum. I've spent hours and days feeling like an insect caught in amber. Writing helps open the world. Creating community. Like a sense of purpose, having a community is a well-known buffer against PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Writing allows us to create in-person and online communities, Substack, Zoom writing groups, coffee shop meetups, etc. When we share our writing, whether as blog posts, short stories, essays, or novels, we're reaching out and touching other lives, other minds, other hearts, and they are touching ours. Enjoying distraction. This is plain vanilla, maybe, but extremely effective. Rather than numbing ourselves with Netflix or alcohol, creating a story or crafting an essay can take our minds off our troubles, at least for a time. For me, after that Monday afternoon phone call, all 7 of these elements would come to my rescue. Minutes after we hung up, my husband and I were on the highway to our son's apartment an hour away. There, we found him in his bed, a victim of SUDEP, sudden, unexplained death and epilepsy. He died alone the day after Valentine's. After his death, I sank into the twilight of winter. Outside the confines of my home-turned prison, COVID racked the world. Still, some form of life ground on. I was under deadline for my novel. My editor told me to take whatever time I needed to grieve, but while the wind played banshee at the windows and the only signs of life were animal prints in the snow, I began to think about my son's work ethic and how distressed he would be to know that his death had brought my writing to a halt. After some weeks, I picked up the novel again, but with a few differences. First, I brought a new understanding to my character's struggles against prejudice and trauma and the constant vicissitudes of life. Secondly, I began to work through my grief by working through theirs. And finally, I leaned into research that fascinated me, that took me back to my studies as a medievalist in college. Through my writing, I remembered who I was before I lost so much, and I began to believe I could find my way back. I've written 4 novels since losing Kyle. All of them are laced with my sorrow for the people I've lost, But my books are also filled with a determination not to give in to pain.